So if I was to ask you, you're going to go on the run from your own people in a rackety old TARDIS?
Well, yes, I am.
Oh, is that what you'd say? Lucy's finally seen the episode where that quote comes from.
Hey, it all makes
Hooray!
sense. It all makes sense.
I'm going to precariously put a hot drink
Oh
down.
gosh, I'm really far away.
Hope for the best. Hi everybody, welcome back to Doctor Who Review, a series where a man and wife have set about a horrid yet beautiful, noble task. Specifically that you started over 2 years ago. To watch all of Doctor Who chronologically from the very beginning. And we are up to the post-season 20 20th anniversary special. The Five Doctors. I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris.
And you're going to have to project ever so slightly.
I am not Chris.
Because the mic is facing over here.
I am definitely not
Because we're recording in the
Chris.
living room because you wanted the comfy position of sitting in the corner. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to speak up. That is your curse. The Five Doctors is one of my favourite pieces of Doctor Who ever. Not necessarily because I think it's...
Sorry, tongue to the dog. Sorry.
Not necessarily because I think it's the best Doctor Who, but because it's one of the earliest ones that I had on home media to revisit.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the hell out of it. And it was also that first exposure for me to the idea that this character is played by multiple different people. And that's kind of cool, isn't it? And they're all different. And they don't get on. And this is fun.
Don't, and it's fun.
And also, it's weird because it says there's 5 of them. When technically there's only 3 anyway, so...
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I watch this at least once a year because it gives me the happies. Well, we just realised.
That's really funny.
It gives me the
If you know, you know.
Well, they're going to find out if they don't. Spoilers for a flipping nearly 40-year-old piece of television. So... I watch this because it gives me the happies. It gives me the warm fuzzies in my tumbles. But I decided when we started in my tum-tum, when we started this marathon, I made the choice of I'm not going to watch the Five Doctors. I'm going to wait to work up to it because it's the closest I'm ever going to get to the actual sort of anticipation of it's coming. Now, obviously, when this came out, the series 20 run was like January to March 1983.
Yeah.
And people knew that they were going to be celebrating the anniversary. There was the convention at Longleat where they got all the actors they could together to celebrate, and they really underestimated what the attendance would be. As a result, it being a success and a disaster in a way that only BBC Enterprises, then now BBC Studios, could achieve. Having been part of events like that myself, I know that they never get it right, ever. It's either one way or the other.
One way or the other.
I mean, we got to go to the 50th anniversary's equivalent. We got to go to the celebration.
We did, and that was one of my favourite things to have ever happened.
It was amazing. It was
very
very cool. I will tell the story of that probably around the time of the 50th, so 2 and a bit years from now. But, yeah, I've seen this a million times. You'd seen this one before at some point.
Yeah, we must have watched it together at some point.
Or, more likely, if it was back when we were at the flat,
Yeah.
I was probably watching it when you came home.
Yeah, something
And you were like,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And just like sat and watched it with. What did you know of the Five Doctors going in consciously? What was in your brain?
I knew that it had Paddy in.
So you were sold.
And that's all I knew. No, and it was about Rassilon.
Yeah.
Yeah. The word Rassilon is said many times.
But now, did that feel like you were actually kind of getting a payoff having now watched the
absolutely.
20 series?
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was like,
especially,
I've got no idea what's going on.
Especially in like the last sort of 6-7 years, where like the Time Lord Society is a more recurring element.
Yeah.
And Rassilon, Rassilon to be a founder of Time Lord Society.
I thought Rassilon was a broad name for Time Lords.
Oh, really?
When I first, yeah.
When
when people started talking about Rassilon, I was like, you need to be more specific here.
Now you've fizzled out a little bit over the last. Apart from Jodie's seasons, you fizzled out a little bit over the last 5-6 years of it on TV.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But you do realise you've met Rassilon. you've seen an incarnation of Rassilon before.
Yes, I have, and it's
in the modern series.
Yeah, it's in it's the winter one, isn't it, with the snowman? No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, the snowman's the Great Intelligence.
Not. Yeah, sorry, that's what I was thinking. No, it's played by
Yeti Boy comes back.
It's played by oh crap. Was he a James Bond?
Yes, getting so close.
Oh, I can't remember his name. He was in Beautician and the Beast.
Flashing Crisis. I love that. Everyone else would have gone Timothy Dalton, and you went.
Dalton.
He was in Beautician and the Beast.
I love that.
I was waiting for your I was waiting for your next thing. He's that hedgehog from the Toy Story films.
Is he?
Yes.
He's in Hot Fuzz.
He's in Hot Fuzz. He's
really hurt.
There we go. If you know, you know.
What's his name? Timothy Dalton.
Yeah. So he's Rassilon.
Yeah, I know. I recognised from the neck and headpiece.
Well, you say that.
I'm not joking, but that is what I recognise it from.
You say that, but he doesn't wear that.
Well, he doesn't.
No,
he does kind of.
When?
In the end, with his face in the thing.
Oh, in this?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. He's just wearing a hat.
No, at the end when he's in the.
What are you trying to not give spoilers
I'm trying not to
for?
spoil it.
Oh, that's not Rassilon. Rassilon's the body on top.
Oh, of course he is. Did I even watch this?
I don't think you did.
Is he not? Is he not wearing it when he's?
I think
down?
it's George Mann, but there's a book later on set with the War Doctor called Engines of War that kind of fills in why Rassilon is suddenly a thing again. And because you didn't know, you just knew that Timothy Dalton was credited as the narrator in The End of Time, and then at the end when the 10th Doctor's like screwing up the thing and sending them back to the Time War, he says back into the Time War, Rassilon, back into hell.
God.
And I remember watching that on the 1st of January 2010 going, oh shit, he's Rassilon? What the hell? Because I'd watched this so much that I was like, what the hell? And obviously the other Time Lord, the founder of like Time Lord Society and Time Travel and everything, Omega makes an appearance at the start of the series. So we're starting with Omega and we're ending 2018. What? We're ending 2020. We're ending 1983 with Rassilon. So we bookend the 20th series year with the founders of Time Lord Society.
So this was part of that series?
Sort of. It broadcast like 6 months after.
Oh, jeez.
Because it was broadcast at the time of the anniversary. The series went out in January, February, March. Yeah. And this went out in November. So it makes sense. It's like the way that Name of the Doctor went out in June, but Day of the Doctor went out on the 23rd of November. It was that same kind of thing.
I'd class that as a special.
Yeah, it's a special, which is why we're doing it as a separate video.
Yeah, I understand that. But was it classed as, say, if you got a box set?
If like when they get around to the Blu-ray, the collection, for example, they'll absolutely put the 5 Doctors in it. But I thought it deserved its own spot.
Absolutely.
Because
it's a feature length.
It's bloody lovely. So the plot in a nutshell, the Doctor's being plucked from their time stream at various different times. The second Doctor, speculation would suggest during season 6B, but the second Doctor clearly toward the end of his lifetime, on a visit to his friend who was not yet a brigadier, but going to the brigadier's retirement party, which is so mad. Like, he met him before he was brigadier, and he goes to his retirement
party. That's
like,
cute.
wait, what? The third Doctor, presumably, like during his time with UNIT, because he's driving around with Bessie. The fourth Doctor, while he's banning around with Romana. The first Doctor, while he's off on some random jolly in a park, I don't know.
On his own?
Yeah, and but,
when would that have happened?
But presumably post Susan departure. And the fifth Doctor doing exactly what he said he was going to do with Turlo and Tegan. They're visiting the Eye of Orion, which is this like just tranquil spot. Well, that's the thing. It's Tegan summed it up brilliantly. She says it's like the countryside after a thunderstorm. And as soon as she said that, we both went, oh, because essentially they're just there. The idea is that they're going to stay there for a little bit and just take a breather after everything they've been through over the last series.
Yeah.
But the Doctor starts feeling pieces of him being plucked away from time scooped, if you will.
Like he almost acts like he's having a mini heart attack.
Yeah. No, the version I'm most familiar with is the 90s special edition retweaking of it all. So to me, Rassilon sounds more like this. You seek immortality. and the lasers from the sky are a bit more dramatic than green lines. And also the time scoop is this CGI twirling like sort of ice cream shape.
Yeah, which is cool.
But of course we watched the transmission version for this, and it's just a triangle with a still frame of them going,
it's poo. It's poo.
But fun, come on. We had a laugh. We did
have a laugh. But it was.
Who's taking the Doctor's incarnations and nicking some of his friends? Like even some that he's not interacting with. Sarah Jane gets pinched as well, which means a brief cameo from K9, because the last time we saw them was in K9 and Company.
Which the video is out now. You should go and watch it.
Yep, it was out a couple months ago. By the time this goes out.
Yeah, no, I'm still plugging it. God, I'm trying
Plug it.
I'm trying to help the channel here.
Go further up the playlist. But yeah, so Sarah Jane gets plucked to help the third Doctor. The second Doctor is nicked whilst visiting the Brigadier, so the Brigadier comes with him.
Yeah.
The first Doctor is
They run,
placed there.
they try and run away from it, and they run probably about 10 feet.
Yeah.
Good effort, guys.
The first Doctor is stolen from wherever and then partnered up with Susan, who's obviously been stolen from later in her timeline.
And it is
Caroline Ford. Oh, everyone's returned. Nicholas Courtney's back as the Brigadier. Go on, yes, please. Liz Sladen is back as Sarah Jane Smith. Obviously, we can't have William Hartnell because he had passed at this point.
Yeah.
So the part is recast with Richard Hurndall, who's a character actor who, I can't remember what it was, I think it was Blake Seven, I might be wrong, correct me in the comments. But they'd seen him in something and went, like, him. Like, he could absolutely play the part. And he does a fun job.
And his name sounds like it.
Yeah, William Hartnell, Richard Hurndall. He's not playing the first Doctor as we know him.
No.
He's playing the first Doctor as one might remember the first Doctor vaguely from having seen some Doctor Who. I don't blame him for it. He has a damn good go.
Yeah.
And he isn't bad. He's not a bad performance. It's hammy in the right places. He, as Caroline Ford said in the documentary we watched, like, you walked up behind him in that costume and everything, you'd just be like, oh my god. She said that she got really emotional because suddenly she was with Bill.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of like, oh my god,
and
this
she saw
is
his
weird.
face and went, ah!
But he has a good stab, like, as picking on the basic traits of the first Doctor at a glance, the sternness, the prickliness, but that twinkle being there.
Yeah.
He absolutely nails those
Yeah,
elements.
definitely.
So he's not Hartnell, but it's like, sure, that's the first Doctor. Fine.
Yeah,
I buy that it's him.
Yeah.
Sure.
It wasn't as distracting as I thought it would be.
I love the idea that he's sort of the elder statesman as well, that the rest treat with a modicum more respect.
Yeah.
But they're all aware that he's sort of volatile and a bit nasty, even if he doesn't mean to be. Which is hilarious because it's like, surely they would all be looking down on him as like the moody teenager. But they don't, because of the actual perceived inheritance of that's the first version of this character, so we pay them respect.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he's the moody kid of the group, and that his eldest form is the youngest looking yet. Patrick comes back with the biggest mop he's ever had. He grew that out. My God.
And I loved it.
It was massive.
It was.
It was huge. It was eating his head. It was bigger than his Yeti coat.
Yay!
And of course he wears the fur coat for this.
He does, with a bit of string around the middle.
A bit of string around the middle. Which is a good look for him. The third Doctor is in his sort of like time monster, like red velvet jacket, but he's also wearing like a big old tartan cape. Which is pretty decent.
He's got to have a cape.
He's got to have his cape, and he's in Bessie, who luckily comes along for the ride for a bit. It's so. I mean, John's my classic Doctor.
Yeah.
So the fact that he looks no freaking different in this,
No,
like his hair's a
little bit
little
older.
his hair's a little whiter, and that's kind of it. But I think it's that blessing and curse of having an older face already.
Yeah.
Like he always looked like an older man. So the older he got, the more it was like he's not aged. It's like no, he just always had an old man's face, a strange old young face.
Do you know who you look like? The guy who played Wurzel Gummidge.
You're kidding, right?
Yeah,
She's kidding. Thank Christ. Oh my God. Don't. I was like,
I said the name wrong then.
I was like, oh my God, it's his second most signature role. Are you kidding me?
I am kidding.
Or his first most signature role. Definitely the one he was most proud of. But he always loved Doctor Who, which is why he was game as Larry to come back and do this. The only actor, of course, who was not game enough to come back was your boy Tom. Numerous reasons have been said over the years. He felt it was too soon, considering how popular the show had become overseas because of his run.
Yeah.
He sort of felt a bit like offended at being second, third, or fourth billing. other things were that he just sort of was like, I've kind of done Doctor Who now. I don't really want to do it again. He completely understood the importance of it. Like, we see that footage of the convention in the States, like, where he's talking to those two young girls, those two young kids. Like, he's absolutely holding court at these youngsters who are, like, loving talking to him. And are completely just like, he gets the importance of it, but you can surmise that maybe he was like, I've done it now, though. He was in the curse of it a little bit, the typecasty thing that hadn't really affected the previous three.
Yeah.
Because he'd been there longer and was always perceived as Doctor Who. He has said in the years since he regrets not doing it. That's why he did the charity at the start of the charity special, Dimensions in Time. We'll get there. He also did
I don't think I'm aware of that, am I?
Oh God, brace yourself.
Would I know?
You quote it though.
Really?
Yeah. If I say to you, "Madam, what year is this?"
Oh.
You say.
2013.
There you go. That
is that
one.
Right?
We will be getting to that in the Wilderness Years.
Jesus.
It's not canon as far as I'm concerned. But anyway.
Of any to pick from.
Well, but he also
should have picked the first.
He's done other stuff since, like for the 50th, Big Finish did their own multi-Doctor story called The Light at the End, and he's front and centre in that. It's like, yes, I'm going to be in this one, and it's him, Peter, Colin, Sylvester, and Paul. So it's, he's not. He clearly has sort of gone, oh God, it would have been fun that. But we get a bit of him in the form of footage of the then incomplete in every possible way Sharda. Sharda! Which, of course, we talked about a few videos back as well. But it's weird because, like, even watching it as though it existed, as we have done, it fits. Because all that's different is we're seeing the moment he gets time scooped. And him and Romana get time scooped and they get stuck.
Yeah.
In like the vortex or whatever, like, so they never.
Which makes no sense.
Well,
they do talk about it, don't they?
Yeah, they talk about the fact that happens means that the person behind everything can't quite take advantage fully of the idea of he can't sort of hold the current Doctor hostage, as it were, to help out by using these others because he doesn't actually have him. But that means the Fifth Doctor is ready and able to carry on enough to. So it's sort of used to his advantage in a way in the end. Our surprise villain. But it makes sense when you watch Sharda, because at that moment he sort of like loses his footing, and it's the moment they first hear the voices.
Yeah.
So you could absolutely watch Sharda, see this, and be like, oh! So at that moment they were both snatched away and put back in
really
and they didn't even realise it.
Yeah,
and that's obviously not the intent at the time when they were making Sharda all this.
Yeah.
That was not their intent.
Oh, really?
Oh no, that wasn't their intent. They just used that.
They were taking advantage of that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that they were taking advantage of the bit where he sort of loses his balance a bit, as like there we go, that's them getting snatched up.
That was bloody lucky then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Jeez.
But it works, because you sort of look it down and you go, oh, sure, okay.
Yeah, it does work. It works really well.
Because obviously the Third Doctor, the Second Doctor, and the First Doctor's like time scoop moments are just pulled out their arse for this special. It's like, oh, this is what was happening, apparently.
Can we talk about Sarah Jane's moment that she appeared?
What, with K9?
In the Death Zone.
In the Death Zone. Oh yes, because everyone gets scooped to the Death Zone to play the game of Rassilon, an ancient sort of like trivial sort of death match where different species back in the day used to be. You're right. Charge not working.
No, it's working now.
Okay, yeah, that wire's been a bit weird. Where back in the day, like, people were plucked from different time zones and put in the Death Zone to essentially be monitored for, like, bets, for sick pleasure, like, watch them kill each other. Isn't this fun? And the Time Zone. Yeah, it's the Time Lord's shame. It's why it's become a nursery rhyme, because no one speaks of it. It's just this old thing of, oh God, could you imagine? Huh? It's like, it's how we handle the plague. Now, ring a roses. It's a nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
Yet it's about a really horrible, horrible thing.
There'll be a coronavirus nursery rhyme soon.
but that's the thing. Like, there's even a nursery rhyme about how to get into the tower, and that's how the Second Doctor remembers the way in, and the Third Doctor implies that he remembers it too.
And he's singing on his way there, and it's Brigadier's like,
no, as he says, "You in pain, Doctor?"
Sass. Oh, I love the Brigadier.
Alistair?
Love the Brigadier. And because I'd seen this a long, long time ago and had no connection to it whatsoever emotionally, I forgot Brigadier was in it. So when I saw him...
He was just this dude. And now...
When I saw her, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know, this is the best thing ever. And then obviously K9 appeared, and Paddy appeared, and I was like, oh my god.
Read about it in the Times. The journalist hasn't even been yet. Tomorrow's Times. Love
I
it.
just love him.
Love it.
He's my favourite.
Oh, the way the guy at the reception goes to grab him and he just sort of uses that to hand him the coat. He's like,
Yeah,
and slips
he's
through.
so cute.
Oh, Paddy gets to clown in this like you read about.
Oh,
So good.
He's just... I miss
John
him.
gets some action. Him and Liz Sladen have to pull off the worst action set piece ever, bless them. And they go for it.
They do.
And Peter Moffat, the director, like in the documentary, he was talking about how much he regretted that as well. Like they didn't make it work at all.
They tried. They did try so hard.
They did try, but it just
it
looks like
really
Sarah
didn't
Jane's
work.
fallen down a slight incline, and the doctor's having to use a rope and Bessie to pull her out.
And they're laughing in the behind the scenes because they said, we are perfectly aware that it looks like she could just get up and walk. You didn't need Bessie to drag her out.
So, the first Doctor and Susan appear together in some kind of metallic cavern where they're accosted by the one and only, but it's an excuse to put it in the publicity material, Darloyet,
A Darloik.
who they fool by pushing into a corner of the reflective surfaces. Its fire ricochets and blows it up, whilst also blowing a hole in the wall for them to get out.
And something terrifying happens.
With that.
You see the creature inside.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't
It's
it?
flailing around.
It's
and
amazing.
It's horrific.
That's the first time as
And
a
then it
kid.
dies.
That's the first time as a kid in Doctor-related stuff that I saw like what the inside of a Dalek looks like. That was my first exposure to it. I was like, oh my god, that's amazing.
It's
Like,
great.
it's a monster inside a metal thing. That is incredible.
Does it have little levers? You know, like in Men in Black.
different eras have depicted it differently,
Like
but
the little-
essentially that's what's happening. It's controlling the tank, yeah. But all the mutants are different. Some of them are like squishy little things, some of them are little claws. It's around this time that they start to really establish the idea that it's like a little octopi kind of thing.
Little squid.
Which the modern series then just like, yeah, that's what they look like. It's like, okay, sure. Brains with eyes and little tendrils.
And some of them have got crazy voices, like the one that went insane. He looked into something. didn't
Dalek
he?
Khan looked into the temporal schism into the vortex. Flung into the vortex. What's the plot?
What did you say?
What's the plot?
The plot? Well, somebody's stealing all the incarnations of the Doctor.
Oh goodness,
And-
there are 5 of me now.
And Gallifrey have noticed. Tamworth and Gallifrey have noticed what's going on.
The President, Barusa,
Yeah.
the Castellan, and I'm trying to remember her name now, but the Castellan and what's her face?
Lady.
We've seen Barusa before,
Yeah.
but he wasn't president yet. As far as I can recall. And we've met the Castellan, and I'm gonna find the name. But go on, they've noticed that stuff's going on. So who do they recruit to go and investigate?
They recruit the Master.
In exchange for a full pardon
Yeah.
and a new regeneration cycle.
Yeah.
Like they are willing, Chancellor Flavia, that's her name. They are willing to hand him basically a clean slate and also a brand new model. Like if he helps this, because they realise that whatever dark secret the Tower of Rassilon holds, Rassilon's tomb, it's obviously something that like is power beyond compare. So we need to stop this, but we also don't want to draw attention to the fact something's happening in the one area of Gallifrey we refuse to even acknowledge exists. So we're going to send in the most cunning, the most devious, and as they say, most expendable agent they can. Like the criminal renegade, the Master.
Harsh. And trying to bring them back to Gallifrey, essentially. Or send them back to where they came from.
Well, yeah, the idea is to get the Doctors together so they can put them back in their respective time streams.
Yeah. I can't remember why they're all there, though. I know that's the biggest plot point, but I've forgotten.
Because somebody is using them to get to the centre, like to get to the Tower of Rassilon safely, essentially, and make their way through the contest. So that way, they can then be homed in on. Because that's what the transmat is at the end and stuff. Like they had the fact that they're there and have made communication with Gallifrey is enough for surprise villain President Barusa to transmat there and claim the power he's after for himself. And
So he didn't have to go through all that.
So he could get away with it, like because he's the president. Like, but he's essentially what's happened is he's gone. The things I've done, the decades, the centuries I've spent working toward this, and I'm toward the end of my life. Like, I'm only ever going to be president for, like, you know, like, another 20, 30, 40 years, and then it'll be done. All my good work will be for nothing.
Yeah.
So if I become immortal, because Rassilon allegedly found the secret to immortality.
Yeah.
And because he sort of became a cruel ruler, or at least people opposed him and assumed that was going to happen, he was imprisoned in the tower and put into... It's claimed it's his tomb, but the other rumour was that he was put into an eternal sleep. So basically he's been suspended in time, effectively. But the secrets to his immortality are there for those who want it. Was it he who loses shall win, and he who wins shall lose? So when the Master finds out that immortality could be on the cards for him, he obviously tries to turn the situation around for himself at the end, because he makes temporary allegiance with the Cybermen that have been thrown into there. Let's talk really quickly about the various creatures that show up. So we get a Dalek, explodey, look really cool.
Yeah. We
get a fleet of Cybermen. What is the first thing the Cyber leader says?
Excellent.
And you just turned to me and went, oh, for God's sake.
Oh, he's back.
He's back, but then another Cyberman becomes Cyber leader after he's executed. Like, you see another one with black handles on the ears when they're going to explode the TARDIS.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And that one had a voice like this.
Here
It's just
I
like,
am,
what is
the
happening?
leader of the Cybermen.
Pick and choose, guys, pick and choose. But, so we got the Cybermen. There was going to be a sequence with Autons or the Nestine. That's what the third Doctor and Sarah Jane scene originally was going to involve, but for budget reasons it was cut. Hence the cliff.
Yep.
But the third Doctor and Sarah get sort of through the most frightening trials because they get pursued by Cybermen. And then Bessie gets exploded by the lightning bolt. Like, lightning bolt kills her engine. Because you have those random, like, sort of lasers coming from the sky.
Yeah.
But then they also face off against the most terrifying adversary. The most deadly killer in all of the universe. An assassin created to be the ultimate killing machine. The Rassilon warrior robot.
One that has never been referenced and will never be referenced again.
Probably has been, to be fair. You were looking forward to seeing this
I
one.
was. This is one of the things I remembered from this. Because when Christopher lived in London Town, I went to visit him, and we ended up going for a drink, and I met the lovely Guy Lambew.
A.K.A. Guy Lambert.
Guy Lambert. For
anyone who's followed the 9 is 10 stuff or Big Damn Cast, Guy Lambert.
A.K.A. Father Christmas.
Father Christmas from Big Damn Cast, exactly.
And
we used to
they
do
were talking.
impressions.
They were just talking about Doctor Who, obviously, because that's all they talk about. And they started doing the actions of this. So he would just jump in the air and disappear.
Move faster than the speed of light. So it demonstrates it by going, yes! And posing for the famed cast poster before disappearing.
It was so funny. At the time, seeing you and Guy doing this in a beer garden.
A pub in South Ealing, just going, whoop,
was the funniest thing ever. And I had no idea what it was.
And then you've seen it since.
Yeah. You showed me the clip, yeah.
But then getting up to this.
And then getting up to it. I'd forgotten that it was in it. And then it happened.
Isn't it a great idea? Like, as far as I think of just this jet silver shape that seems to, like, store and fire, like, harpoons that can impale even a Cyberman. It's so strong that it just chops one of their heads off. Yeah. The Cybermen get, like, murked in this. They get ripped to pieces. Yeah. There's some great visual effects in this story, even pre the special edition.
Yeah.
And it's mostly to do with the in-camera ones, like the Cybermen's heads coming off, chests bursting, like goo pouring out and all this stuff, the Dalek exploding.
But it was very amusing.
But it's just a guy in a onesie with silver sprayed boots and a cycle visor going, yes! It's odd.
Fantastic.
But they go in above, they abseil to the Tower of Rassilon. The second Doctor and the Brigadier go through the tunnels beneath and encounter a Yeti. In colour.
Yeah,
the Yeti in colour.
It did look cool.
Scary buggers, big scary buggers.
Claws were scary.
The first Doctor stumbles across the fifth, so they plan to work things out. Tegan and Turlo get assigned to pineapple and tea at noon duty, whilst Susan it's lovely to see Caroline Ford, but they don't give her much to do.
No, they don't.
And then they purposefully make her twist her ankle at one point. But then she and Mark Strickson are sort of reduced to just sitting in the TARDIS looking scared as a bomb's being erected around it.
Yeah.
And the only reason that feels kind of is because they just keep going back to it. Instead of setting it up and then going back to it before the moment of impact.
Yeah.
So the First Doctor and Tegan are teamed up. They encounter the Master. As easy as pie? No, he said as easy as pie! Herndal's delivery, like we said, it's no Hartnell, but it is amusing as hell.
Yeah.
Goodness me, it's the TARDIS! Just walk the dog. And he can eat pineapple like nobody's business. My
Please
God.
Don't say it.
I'm not going to quote it.
Really gross.
I'm not going to quote the meme, but y'all know what I'm saying. So eventually, the three earlier incarnations of the Doctor managed to get into the Tower of Rassilon. Sarah Jane and the Brigadier re-meet, and they meet Susan and Tegan and Turlo. But the Fifth Doctor has rumbled who's really behind everything. The Castellan is framed for it and executed suspiciously quickly by the the guards, the guards of the council. No Commander Maxwell. There's a new commander now. Don't worry, he'll be back in less than a series' time. So it's all a bit like, right, well, this is weird. Flavia starts to dig into things. The Fifth Doctor finds the tune on the painting near the harp, like one of these ancient artifacts, opens up a secret chamber to reveal that President Barusa is behind it. He's adorned himself. Was it the coronet of Rassilon? And
pretty ingenious.
He's found a few other artifacts of Rassilon that are part of this particular puzzle. All he needed was access to the tower. That's what he wanted, and that's why he's pulled this off.
Yeah.
With his little cool Eagle Moss before Eagle Moss ordered them in the mail with the magazine models of the characters.
Yeah.
Which to this day they've never made official merch exactly like that,
That's
and they
silly.
really need
they should do.
And you need to be able to move them around on a light up chessboard that goes or the horn sound effect. Just keeps coming from the tower. I love it. Although I've ruined the mystique of it. If anyone's watched our 90s 10 series, we talk about it in an episode called Hurdle's Horn. Goodness. So they get there, and the Fifth Doctor, his will is overpowered by the President, like using the coronet of Rassilon.
The coronet of Rassilon.
But the idea is he gets there, and all he needs is the ring from Rassilon's tomb, because they're in the middle of this grand chamber, and the sets look great.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
they look really good.
It really does look like they're in a tomb.
The location stuff, bar the hill, looks really good. Like it's this desolate sort of, as they say in the documentary, like how do you get somewhere that looks desolate and barren and overcast and scary? We just filmed in Wales, which they did.
Yeah, it looks a bit like a pyramid on the inside.
Yeah,
like
the interior sets are amazing.
Like
too.
with the booby traps and the
chessboard
like
of doom.
I thought that was really cool.
But they get there and there's Rassilon on his tomb, and there's these like the collar, like you said, the Time Lord collars, these sort of ancient look of everything is scattered around the tomb. When the President arrives, he's essentially like using the will of the Fifth Doctor to kind of help him, fight back. He's going to keep them at bay, but the other Doctors, they do a non-verbal contact moment, and they all kind of like get him out of it. And he's like,
think about it together.
Yeah. But it's almost like we're stronger together. And prior to this, the Master had rocked up as well and decided he was going to take immortality for himself, sod what the Time Lords are offering. And who takes him out?
I can't remember.
The Brigadier.
Oh, Brigadier, of course he
does. It's a pleasure to see you again. Just punches him out.
Mammy!
It's amazing. And I love that because no one's told him it's the Master, but the Brigadier's obviously taken one look at him and gone, yeah, I know who that is. I flaming know who that is. I've wanted to do this for a while. Just decks him in the face.
God, I love you.
Ainley's great in this.
So good.
Ainley is great because throughout the whole story, you're like, well, he's going to be involved. Surely he's the mastermind behind all this. He must be. You know what I mean? He's playing this for his own. Nope. But he's an opportunist. He tries to play it safe. They don't listen to him. And for once, Doctor, I mean you no harm. And he's like trying to get them to work with him. And then he gets frustrated, kills the Cybermen by luring them into a trap. And then he's like, right! It's my turn, you bastards! And the Brigadier punches him out. It's great.
Nice. Good work.
But this is the one time the Master like really gets off scot-free, because at the end everyone's just returned to their respective times, including him. Yeah. It's like, oh, alright, well he's fine then.
Bye.
Will we see him again? Well, I couldn't possibly... Yes. We will. Ainley's great in this. He's proper game for it, and by this point he feels like the master. We get some hallucinations along the way to try and deter the characters. So we get to see Liz Shaw and Mike Yates again.
Yay!
Liz Shaw gets her day. Caroline John pops back. It was nice to see her. And also, very briefly, the hallucinations of Zoe and Jamie, which you had no idea was coming.
No, I did remember. I thought Joe was in this as well. Because for some reason I remembered it.
I suppose like a drill noise outside.
What was that?
Dunno. But yeah, you for some reason remembered Joe in it. No,
Yeah.
you misremembered Madam.
I remembered Zoe and Jamie.
Yeah.
And I thought they were in it from the start.
No.
So I was waiting for them to arrive and they didn't.
But when they did.
I was like, yay!
Except it's not them.
No, it's not. But they looked dapper though, didn't they?
They did. And then you see, right, here's my favourite nerdy moment in all of watching this was, as soon as they vanish, because obviously the doctor's like, it's a question of memory. It's like, the Time Lords took you home, they erased your memory of ever meeting me. And they're like, nah, and that's when he realises they're illusions. You turned to me and you went, how would he know that? He gets made to regenerate straight after, and I just went, Season 6B theory. Season 6B theory. Which will be made even more of a thing when we next see Patrick. So, yeah, whatevs, Trebs. Point is...
Whatevs, Trebs.
It's cool to see them.
It was.
But then Rassilon comes forward to the president. And he's like, right, so, do you seek immortality, pal? Like, you want immortality. There's no turning back from this.
Yeah.
Like, if you want it, you're going to have it.
Here
Plain
it
and
is.
simple. And he's like, I want it. He's like, great. Here you chuffingo. And President Barusa gets basically melted down into nothing and becomes part of the tomb, the monument of Rassilon, and is, like the three others on there, revealed to sort of still be alive. Hello?
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm listening to you.
You completely froze then. Did you seek immortality? Was that the problem?
I did. And it was scary because they all looked very
Flashy.
waxy and terrified because their eyes were like... I'm doing it, but I realised I'm not the camera. But I'm moving my eyes around a lot. I don't know how to describe it.
But effectively, it's sort of revealed that either Rassilon, probably Rassilon, because we see a version of him, we see his body, then we see him, he's got this big grand moustache and like sort of triangular hat and everything.
It was Sky Ghost.
Sky Ghost! Ghost in the Sky! Now on Disney Plus. He, either he or the people who put him there realised the burden of immortality and the fact that people can be driven insane by it. Like, anyone who wanted it, anyone who really wanted immortality, is not going to be good news.
No.
And so if they don't turn back, he gives him like 3 chances as well. If they don't turn back, they're granted it. Mm-hmm. They become permanently part of this monument. Forever alive, forever conscious, but never allowed to speak, move, or leave.
Jeez, that's scary.
Really bleeding creepy. So essentially, the doctors didn't save the day. Rassilon did, and was always going to, because any psycho who got in there was going to be banished to imprisonment in there forever. Which is kind of great. So things get realigned, Rassilon lines it up, everyone pays, they sort of gives their respective goodbyes.
Yeah, they all kind of talk for the first time, don't they, really?
Properly interact as they all head off, because there's not much time, they need to get going. And it's this nice little visual where they all go into the TARDIS sort of one by one after speaking to the Fifth Doctor.
Yeah.
And then
different TARDISes.
This slightly less slick, but still kind of fun idea of different TARDISes kind of leave that TARDIS. And then Flavia rocks up and she's like, okay, you got the guard sent, we're here, what's happened? Don't worry, the president's an arsehole, he tried to kill everybody. She's like, oh, okay, fantastic, you saved the day, great. So, you coming back to be president then, or what? Because you were meant to be president like 3 presidents ago and you've been running away and we're getting annoyed at it, so you're president now. The doctor's like, tits, oh god.
If you get going, I'll
we literally
meet you there.
Tegan, turn back in the TARDIS, and yes, we'll meet you. We'll meet you there. That's an order. I'm your president, am I not? And you're just like, oh Jesus, all right. And then you're to act as president in my stead until I get there. Okay, I'll see you. Goodbye. And then they bugger off. And he's like, yeah, sod off. But I like the fact that Tegan says, "Is that what you're gonna do? Just like go off on the run from your own people in a rickety old TARDIS. That's the one exception. And he says, well, after all, that's how it all started.
Yeah.
Which is a nice little, oh yeah. Like, it's a nice little, oh yeah, this is the 20th anniversary, isn't it? I suppose we should acknowledge where we came from.
You should have looked in camera and winked.
Well, no. Just wait till the next...
Merry Christmas.
Wait till the next guy's title sequence.
Anyway. No, does he wink? Because that's terrifying.
Anyway.
Really unnerved me. So
battery's low, so we need to wrap this up. But one thing we haven't mentioned, which I think is absolutely lovely, is that the show opens with, and so credits at the end, William Hartnell. It opens with him saying goodbye to Susan from Dalek Invasion of Earth. And it's also great because, of course, the first Doctor appears in this. One day I shall come back. Yep, there he is. He's in it. It's not William, fortunately, but, you know, Richard does a damn fine job. I love this still. It's camp. It's nowhere near as spectacular as it makes me feel it is, if that makes any sense. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, it's a bit naff, isn't it, really? But I never feel that way about it. I always enjoy watching this. Yeah. It's just a big camp romp, and it's the closest we got to a movie. Yeah. Till the TV movie. Yeah. Your thoughts summed up in a minute because the battery's going to die.
I really enjoyed it. It was nice to see all the incarnations of the Doctor together and how different they all are. But it was just nice.
These two still bicker.
It was just it's so cute. It was just lovely to see them all and the companions as well. Sarah Jane was good in it. I know, calm down. I know. But also, why would you want to live forever? That sounds so depressing.
Who lives forever?
I'd be knackered.
Well,
I'd be enough.
Speaking of doing things forever, the marathon continues! If you want to ask us more thoughts on the Five Doctors, here's in the comments down below. Have you seen it? What do you think of it? Do you love it as much as I do? Don't forget, on the first disc of this, if you've got it, if you've not already found it, go to the audio options and special features, and there's a secret commentary, and it's a lot of fun with people from the modern era. Anyway, onwards next time with season 21, and some really, really, really good stories, but starting with Warriors of the Deep. Bye, everyone!
Bye!
Oh my god, a foot!